Madness, man. March Madness. March Madness kicked off a little early, man. March Madness kicked off in February. At least it did in Michigan or wherever the heck, what I'm saying, it was at.
Wisconsin.
I wasn't sure if it was a away game or whatever, but it was Michigan versus Wisconsin. And a brawl broke loose, man. You know what I'm saying? And actually, I got the footage because really, you can't really talk about a brawl unless you got the footage. So here's the footage of the brawl that broke loose. I don't know if brawl is even the right word. Would you call it a brawl? I don't know. You be the judge. Hey man, March Madness, man. March Madness, man. So, what are y'all instant reactions when y'all see that video? Uh, Rome, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, man, Juwan Howard, man, as a head coach, he's lucky that he only got a 5 game suspension. I think they said that's the rest of the regular season. Like, this man shouldn't even have a job while we're speaking about it right now. Like, that's ridiculous, bro. Like, as the head coach, you cannot be the one throwing punches in any scenario. There's just no scenario where, as the leader of the team, the head coach of the team, you're the guy throwing punches. Even if there's something going down to where a brawl needs to break out, that's one of the assistants' job. You know what I mean? You're supposed to have somebody that's your man's that's supposed to throw the punch for you. You can't be the guy doing it. Juwan Howard looks kind of clownish to me, and that's not the kind of leadership you need for a head coach, especially the head coach of a school. Remember, these are student athletes, so that's not a good look. And we'll see if Mr. Howard still has a head coaching spot here soon.
Yeah, I mean it's a good point, Rome. It's crazy though because all accounts of what you hear about Juwan Howard is at least from NBA standpoint, he's always the professional guy. Always a guy that was the voice in the room. But that was a little bit of a different representation. And you're right, man. These are student athletes that he is leading. A little questionable, man. T, man, what you think about this whole situation?
Now I'm gonna kind of agree wrong, man. I thought he looked crazy. Like uh, just seeing how that game played out. That video didn't give much context to it, but Michigan was pretty much getting their ass beat, and by a team that they probably should be better than, to be honest, but they're not, and they were getting their ass beat. And Jawan Howard decides to keep his starters in. I've seen coaches do that, but you're pressing. Um, Games out of hand, and you're still playing like it's a one possession game. So, the guy from Wisconsin calls a timeout to kind of rally his troops to coach his team. And it's a little cheap. I think both guys were a little cheap. But at the end of the day, like, Jawan Howard was mad over that timeout. And if you can coach your team, that guy can coach his team. Why are you mad? And on top of that, you didn't even hit the guy that touched you. I keep seeing this guy touched you first, and
Right.
you hit a different person. Like, you didn't hit the guy that apparently put his hands on you and he shouldn't have. So I don't want to hear that. If you watch the video, even one of his players, like the guy closest to him, looks back kind of like what the hell? Yeah, like Rome said, man, you're a coach. That's a state university. That's a big time school, big time spot. Um, you can't lead that. If you're defending your guys, that's one thing, but you can't kick the brawl off. It look like a go-go or something. Like, you can't start that type of violence in the gym after a loss. That's the thing. You're losing. So, I thought it
Definitely.
was bad. 5 games was fair. Um, Probably should have got more, but he got 5 games and it is what it is. I hopefully he doesn't do it again.
Yeah, it's a bad look, T. I mean, you spoke on it, man. I mean, shout out Gash AAU. We talk about coaching. T understand a little something about that. And you understand, like, if you came up in the game or if you ever coached or if you ever been around the game or you respect the game, you understand that, like, there's a kind of an unwritten code of ethics amongst coaches. You know what I'm saying? And like, I guess potentially you could say maybe that's what happens when you bring guys in that are just player mascots, extensions of the university instead of like really good coaches. I'm not sure what Juwan Howard's coaching credentials are, but did he look a little, he looked a little crazy right there? No doubt. Did he break the code of ethics amongst coaching? I think there was some violations on both sides, but there was definitely no violation that was trigger worthy of that. G, man, what you think about this, man? We're gonna put a bow on
I
this.
think it was excessive. 5 games? I thought 3 would have been because I get the 5 games because someone has to pay. They gotta nip the butt on it because it's the head coach. But like, come on, don't you guys think it's overreacting a little bit? He didn't even slap the dude. I thought it was a slap at first, but it looks like he was just trying to grab his ear. Like, yo, come over, I gotta pull your ear. You gotta listen to what I gotta say. That's what it looked like. Like, come on now. Like, it wasn't even like all that. My one thing is like, I get it. Like, and I see what Michigan did. They stood up for this coach, started swinging, started getting it shaking in there, which is not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be conducting yourselves. But I get it. Juwan Howard, he had to pay the price. I think 5 games is just good enough or a little excessive in my mind. I love chaos. I didn't mind it. My man was just trying to holler at him, whisper something nice in his ear. It's like, yo, mind your fucking goddamn business. So I think it's just a little bit too much in my mind.
Gee, you liberal as a mug, bro. Say that. 'Cause, like, you saying like he that's light. It's 5 game suspension. In reality, due to the contract that he signed, as a coach at an academic institution, bro, that's a fireable offense. What he did, bro, 100%.
Come on now, man.
This is
And on top of that, so we're not going to talk about the timeout there. Like, if you know you spanking that team, and you already know what the coach is showing and started, he's like, yo, for y'all playing that much bad of a game, y'all going to play until that clock is over with. So y'all going to play, y'all starting the quarter again. So the coach is trying to teach his players a lesson. And so why call a timeout? You're already blowing their ass.
So what
he
lesson
could
did he
teach
teach
players.
him? So what lesson did he teach him? How to have a malice in the palace part 2? That ain't
No,
no lesson,
but he
man.
was teaching
That's
them
not
how
an
to play
example
more
that you.
ball.
Yo, you're a coach for at a university. You're supposed to be an example. So you lead.
Bro, how many coaches
Ain't no fight
bro?
start. But he
Listen, we
started the
got
fight.
coaches taking players to strip clubs. What are we talking about?
no,
Okay, so we're just
that's
gonna
not
forget all of a
acceptable
sudden.
either.
So now all of a sudden we're gonna forget. You got coaches buying out players. What are we talking about? Now all of a sudden we're gonna have some
Hey,
conductive.
I'll put it like this.
We're
There,
supposed to conduct ourselves correctly all of a sudden because there's cameras around.
So this is
You're
what you
talking
think.
about
This is what you think, right?
coaches. You're talking about coaches that keep it real. And Juwan Howard gave us an example of when keeping it real goes wrong. Because this was a fail, bruh. This was a fail. This was unnecessary. Like I said, first of all, you should never be fighting over a sporting event. I don't care what the sport is. There's really no reason to ever get to physical blows. But we're all men. We all know testosterone gets flowing. So if it ever does get to physical blows, if you are the head coach, you are not the one to start the fight, like T said. Like I alluded to earlier, bro. Like that's like you can get away with it if you're like, oh, well, our weightlifting coach was over there and he's just a wild dude. You know what I mean? He's just a weightlifting dude. He's crazy. But you as the head coach, you cannot be the first one to throw a punch. You can't even really be seen throwing a punch at all. This is some Urban Meyer getting twerked on by a little white girl type stuff. This is the type of behavior you expect from a Bishop Sycamore type school, not a Michigan. Like this is unacceptable.
Sycamore.
Howard is lucky to have a job. A 5 game suspension is light. It is light. He's lucky to even
Yeah,
still
I
be
agree.
there.
I agree. He's lucky his name is Juwan Howard, and he has a legacy at that school. Because if he was Ron Howard, it would be over, bro.
Hey, look, I don't even understand why he's so mad. Like, if you don't want a guy to call a timeout in that spot, win the game. Like, it's that simple. Like, if your team is losing, you don't get to dictate anything. You don't get to call the shots. I had a second grade team get pressed the entire game. They on 30. They did not take their starters out. They did not call the press up. Like, I didn't fight the coach. I didn't yell at him. I shook his hand, went back to practice, got my boys in the lab. Like that's coaching. Getting mad and having this emotional response and I don't want to talk to him and all that. Like, come on, man. Like, you just got to set a better example because all these guys aren't going to the NBA. Like, these guys, you might have one or two D1 players on that roster. The rest of those guys got to go out to the real world and figure it out. And you can't tell them just because somebody wronged you, you can, you know what I'm saying, you got the right to swing on them. It just left a bad taste in my mouth.
For me, if you're Juwan Howard, you play for Michigan State, you got the right to do as you please when you please. You play for Michigan State.
Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. My bad.
My man Tom Izzo would never.
Yeah, right.
He was scream on his own players, but he ain't about to, coach your team, bro.
He's coaching his team. He's coaching his team, so let's play.
If you don't want people call the time out.
He lost. He forgot who he was for him. I mean, he didn't forget who he was. He forgot his role that he's being.
Juwan Howard from the Shy, baby. So I get it.
I mean, I get it too. And when he was the 15th man on the Miami Heat, and he was on their bench, and you needed a veteran to get the team riled up and run over there and defend your guys. That was an acceptable response for that Juwan Howard. Not for the Juwan Howard that's a coach, the head coach of the academic institution. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. Scruff is spot on right there. Spot on.
Jesus Christ. Is when you guys went to church on Sunday.
It's roles in life, man. We wear different hats, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, some things are
I don't say Juwan Howard, that ship suit off for next year and coach some boys better than his off season.
I mean, I'd pay to watch him fight Jake Paul or Logan Paul.
He'll get cracked just like Nate Robinson did.
I don't know, bro. Juwan Howard, I think he could beat the Paul brothers.
You saw him snatch old boy's ear off.
Yeah.
Man. Shit crazy, man. You never know these days, bro. But hey, man, the March Madness started a little early. I'm with it, man. But it'll be interesting to see what goes on.
Are you though? You just say you're not with it. Y'all clearly just say you're not with it.
No, I'm talking about real March Madness, not this chaotic fighting stuff, and not even a real fight. That was a bitch slap, if you ask me.
Skirmish in the school.